This week at TBC we've been thinking about love in our series These Three Remain: Faith, Hope and Love, and Paul says the greatest of these is love. Earlier in the chapter in 1 Corinthians in verse 8 he says love never fails. And I don't know about you, but maybe you think, hang on a minute, Paul, are you living in some kind of idealised world? Because I know that love sometimes does fail. Sometimes love is like the crumbling remains of our good old castle here in Tonbridge. We can see the greatness that it once was, but as we look at it now, we realise it's not all that it used to be. Some of the stones are really crumbling away. But Paul is adamant, he's really clear, whichever way you spin it, love never fails. There's numerous words in the Greek reading of the New Testament for love. We use one English word. We say I love pie and chips, I love the Arsenal, and I love my wife, all with the same word. And obviously we love them in different levels. One's higher than the others. Paul uses different Greek words. There's eros, which is erotic love, it's physical love that we have one for another. There's philia love, from which we get Philadelphia, the city of brotherly and sisterly love in America, and that's more of a kind of business functional contract. You scratch my back and I'll scratch yours. If you do something for me in a loving way, then I'll do something for you in a loving way as well. Paul doesn't use eros or philia when he says love never fails in 1 Corinthians chapter 13 verse 8. He uses the word agape, a word that commonly wasn't used in his culture, but a word that the Christians, as it were, hijacked and used for themselves. Agape is a selfless love. It's a love that is an action before it's a feeling, so it does things even if it doesn't feel like it. Agape love is a love that gives someone else what they need, which might not be what they want, because sometimes that's different, isn't it? But it's definitely what they need. Agape love gives somebody what they need at personal cost to themselves. Agape love gives someone what they need at personal cost to themselves, with the full-on risk of knowing that the other person might reject them and their love. I remember when I was growing up at TBC and a teenage girl that I fancied, and who I found out later fancied me, but our paths didn't quite cross romantically. And I'm really pleased now because I'm married to Joan. She's amazing. Just need to put that in there. But I remember once she said to me, this girl, the greatest risk we have is when we say to somebody, I love you, because we give them all the power in that situation. We become vulnerable to them. And God does that with us. The God of the heavenlies, who's created everything that we see around us, the beautiful sky, that wonderful tree, my amazingly bronzed forehead, the God who has created all of that, came down to earth through his son Jesus and died on a cross so that the barrier between us and God can be removed, knowing full well that we might turn around like those who saw Jesus on that cross and mocked him and say, Jesus, God, get stuffed. That's agape love. A love that doesn't just feel but rather acts. A love that gives us what we need. A love that does that at personal expense to ourselves. A love that does that knowing the risk that we may reject that love. And that love is not a crumbling wall. That is not a love that fails. That is a love that stands the test of time.